How's it going, man?
Kenny was interviewing. I think I might know this dude. What's going on?
Going,
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, actually meet you in person.
I'm Gio. Nice to meet you, bro.
Hey,
what's up, dude? What's going on? Everything good?
How's the dinner last night?
All right, so first off, tell everybody who we're here with today, and then we'll get into it.
My name's Sean Brady. I'm the #1 ranked UFC welterweight.
Hell yeah. All right, man, so first off, I appreciate you sitting down. And so just to start us off, talk me through like the beginning of the martial arts journey. Like what got you into it?
Yeah.
Was it immediate love or like did that kind of grow over time?
Yeah, so it's funny. I was like a 15-year-old kid, normal, started lifting weights at a rec center by my house, and a buddy of mine was training, and I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. I didn't know what any of it was, but we seen him one day walk into the gym, which was called Semperfi MMA, in his gi, and we kind of were making fun of him, like, what the fuck is this, karate? And then eventually he was like, it's not karate. He was like, it's jiu-jitsu. I'm doing this, I'm doing Muay Thai, I'm doing all this stuff, and we're young, so we had no idea. But the gym offered a 2-week free trial. So me, my brother, and a couple of friends went. We did the 2-week free trial, got our butts beat up pretty good. And then for me, that was the beginning of what this all is, that 2-week free trial. I joined that gym. I trained there for most of my amateur fights. I was 5-0, and then it all just kind of started from there.
I love it, man. And so right off that 2-week free trial, it was just the love.
It wasn't like I wasn't crazy obsessed with it, and my parents didn't push me, which I think worked out good because I've seen parents the kid that I joined with, his dad was a little bit pushy, and once he had the choice not to do it, he didn't want to do it anymore. My parents didn't make me do it. And I kind of realized I was decent at grappling. I was pretty good. So I'm like, man, I want to kind of stick with this. And then I started doing more classes. I was doing Muay Thai. Then I started the MMA classes. And it all kind of just went from there. And then it kind of snowballed into, I was training. There was guys fighting. I started helping them get ready for fights. Then I was 5-0 as an amateur. I had my first amateur fight. Then I went full, 3 or 4-0, and I met Paul Felder and these other guys, and they're like, man, if you really dedicate your time to this, you can be really, really good and succeed, and that's kind of what kickstarted everything. Yeah,
the belief from these guys. And where was Paul at? Was he in the UFC at that point?
No, I was fighting for CFFC. I fought my last amateur fight, and Paul fought his first time he won the CFFC belt at lightweight. So he was 5 or 6-0, and then so I made I had my last amateur fight. He won the belt. Then later that summer, I had my pro debut on the same card. Paul had a crazy highlight wheel kick, knocked this guy out. Then he got signed to the UFC and fought here in Canada a month later. So and then I had teammate Jonathan Webb, who's still one of my coaches. He got signed to the UFC after that. So it was. I had good people to look up to.
Yeah, you had the guys around.
Yeah, exactly.
Show the path a little bit.
Exactly. Paul was a guy, and then we had Eddie Alvarez. He was the first Philly guy, but then the closest guy I was to seeing that was Paul Felder.
Yeah. So that kind of answered a couple of my other questions, but the next one off of that kind of gave me an idea for another one.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about having Paul Felder, not everybody's that lucky, right?
Yeah.
You're able to come up and have a guy like that in your gym. So if somebody's in there and they want to be where you guys are right now, but they don't have that that guy to look up to or that teammate to kind of show the way, what would your advice be to them to be able to maybe get the guidance that you were able to get from Paul?
I mean, now it's so hard to not have it because we have access to everything. If you need nutrition, you can go online. If you need strength and conditioning, you can go online. There's all these different things you can go online and get, so there's almost no excuse not to have it. You can go online and pretty much find what you need. But for me, it's just staying in the gym, staying consistent, because we had Paul, but Paul wasn't Paul back then.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Not quite where he's at
we
now.
always thought Paul was going to be that, but we didn't know. And I've seen guys throughout the years in the gyms, they come in, they get excited, they're training, they have a fight, and then they fizzle out. So for me, it was I just always stayed in the gym no matter what, just stayed consistent, kept training, kept getting better. And I think that's what made me who I am and where I'm at today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the consistency.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me.
And on that note too, was there ever a moment early in the career, Was there ever a moment of adversity where you were like, you know what, maybe fighting's not for me, like that kind of like down moment, and like what was it, and what made you say like, okay, I might be down right now? But,
I mean, when you're 1-0 making $500 to fight, like there's not much. Like, luckily my parents believed in me and they helped me out financially, and they really just supported me and just said, hey, if you're really committed to this, we're going to support you. So I had that, but I remember I was 2-0. I broke my toe, and I was like, man, like this, like I kept getting injured. I was young, and I just couldn't even make it to a fight. I'm like, this is not going to go anywhere. So I told my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, I was like, if I don't make it through this year without having a couple more fights, then I'm going to quit. Luckily that year, I got some fights, and I got to get some fights. But there's more downs than there are ups. You know, like you said, everyone sees like you getting your hand raised, but they don't see all the injuries. They don't see your bank account. They don't see you not spending time with your family. They don't see all the things that you miss trying to get ready for this one fight, and your opponent could get hurt. There's not even it's not guaranteed. There's nothing's guaranteed in fighting. Like you could both weigh in, and then that guy or you might get sick. So. Yeah, it's a crazy sport.
Well, dude, even the amount of times, like, you know, doing the coaching that I do, where it's like guys all like full preparation happens, everything right up until fight night, and then they like I'll get a message be like, yeah, my opponent pulled out an hour ago, and I'm like,
literally this morning, I'm talking to my coach at dinner. At lunch, breakfast, and he's like, we're talking about a guy's fight, and 2 minutes later, one of our other coaches called, and his opponent pulled out. I'm like, how does that happen? I'm like, I was just asking him about his opponent. 2 minutes later, his guy calls, no opponent. So I'm like, and this guy just had a baby. He's not in the UFC yet. He's not making great money. So it's a tough way to make a living. But if you can get past all of that, there's a lot of amazing things you can do.
Yeah. So that time, like, you know, the time off with injuries, about how long were you, like, you know, going through the camp, getting hurt? Like, how long between fights with that, like, early adversity with the
that one was, I was getting ready to, it was like a couple months. It wasn't that long, but I had a bulging disc in my back. So I had to take like 3 or 4 months to kind of rehab that. Luckily, that next fight, I won the CFFC belt, and that kind of put me on the path to where I was going. But I was getting ready for my first championship fight. I got hurt. I didn't know if I was going to get that opportunity again. Luckily, they gave it to me, and I won the belt. And CFFC is a big organization.
Yeah.
So I went on, defended my belt for them a couple times, and I got to the UFC. But, I mean, I could have just said, screw it right there, and that would have been that. Luckily, I didn't.
Yeah, in that time, like that whole time off and everything like that, obviously, like, you know, I'm around fighters a lot too. And it's like, you know how it is. Like, you train all the time. So it's like, when you're not able to train like that, like, talk me through the day to day. Like, you know, you're waking up in the morning, you know you can't go to the gym and all that. Like, what's going through your mind? What's continuing to make you say, like, no, I'm not going to quit yet. No, I'm going to give it a little more time.
For me, I'm like just trying to stay busy in that, like, whether it's PT, doing things you can still do, watching film, and just knowing, like, this is going to pass, you know. It sucks right now, but eventually it's going to get better. I'll get healthy as long as I do the right things, and I'll be able to fight again. And now, like, I'm older, looking back, it's a lot easier to say that, but when you're going through it, it feels like it's never going to end.
Especially when you haven't made it yet, right? It's
especially
you know, like, this isn't this isn't a long time, right?
And so, it's just, but same thing, just staying consistent in your mind, your mindset of just knowing, if I get through this, it's going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge for people, because it's like, I hear that all the time, like, guy gets hurt and it's just like, they just lose all momentum, right? And it's like, I always try to say, it's like, those situations, obviously, you never want to happen. You never want it to happen.
It's going to happen.
But also, it's like, you got to make the best of it, right? It's like, if you're just like, oh, I'm hurt, well, I'm just going to do nothing, like, eat crap, whatever.
I tell guys that all the time. Like, if I see them and it's like, yo, if you can't punch with your left, punch with your right. Go work on your kicks. If you break your hand, like, there's so many things you can be doing. There's so many things you can be learning, like your nutrition, your strength and conditioning. There's no reason not. We have so much access with these. We have supercomputers in our pockets. You should be doing a lot of knowledge and learning these things. There's all these BJJ fanatics and all these things you can be doing. Like, I remember I had a staph infection in my arm. I was supposed to be fighting Jack Dale Maddalena. got an infection, was in the hospital, and I bought, it was Gordon Ryan's BJJ Fanatics, and I'm sitting there with an IV in my arm, just watching this thing. I'm like, I'm going to be getting better somehow. And that's the mindset I think you have to have if you want to be a champion.
Yeah, well, that's just it, right? And it's like, it's discouraging, sure. Like, I'm sure your first instinct when you get that, you're not just like, all right, better go watch film. It's like,
no. You're like, what? There's always that moment of like, what the fuck? Like, am I allowed to curse?
Cursing's fine. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? This is horrible. But once you get past that, you have to just see the other side of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm glad you asked because I was actually wondering the same thing. I was wondering too, like the Philly boy, and I haven't heard the F word come out yet. I was like,
I curse a lot. I'm gonna have to get it in check with my daughter, but.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love hearing that because like I always tell guys the same thing, right? It's like if you're injured, it's like you got two choices. It's like it can make you worse or it can make you better. And it's like, to me, it's a blessing in disguise, right? It's like, you never want it to happen, but it's like, what area are you weak in? What area are you not working on? Like, now's the time to dial that in more because you can't do everything else. Right?
And you never know. You could have went into that fight and maybe you lost that fight where you could have got hurt even worse. So everything, and I've just taken it now. Like, I've had so many ups and downs. Everything happens for a reason, whether it's good, bad, or I remember, after I lost to Bilal, I'm like, this fucking sucks. And then obviously Bilal wasn't where he was at, so people were like, damn, Sean fucking sucks. He lost, but now Bilal became the champion. I strung together some really good wins, and now I'm in the best point of my career. But I had some dark moments even recently. Of course. Even after my Gilbert fight, trying to get another fight, I didn't know when I was going to fight again, and then Leon's opportunity comes up. So something, if you're looking for it, it's going to come, you know? And usually it comes in the form of something good, and hopefully you're ready, and hopefully you're able to take that opportunity.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think that just comes to like being able to do what you can too, right? Because it's like if you take that negative thing and you just make it more negative, like you just, go away, stop training, whatever.
For sure.
It's like now the opportunity comes up, like, you're after that Gilbert Burns fight, you're not feeling good, whatever. They call and they're like, hey, short notice opportunity against Leon. Now you're like, well, shit. Like,
when I knew, and I had a feeling, I'm like, man, I wanted that fight. I asked for that fight. I didn't get it. I'm like, you know what? I'm always in the gym anyway, but I kept doing everything, getting ready for 5 rounds. I'm like, I just had a feeling something was going to happen. But then I had my daughter, and 2 days later they called me for the fight. Luckily, I was doing all the things that I needed to do to be ready for that moment, and luckily my wife was cool enough to let me go and because. I had 5 weeks to get ready for Leon, and luckily I already did a lot of the work that had to be done for that. I already was studying him. I was already getting ready for 5 rounds. So if you do those things that's what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not saying you have to kill yourself all year round, but you have to be in shape. Your diet has to be right. You're a professional athlete, and that's what I would say to these guys is be a professional athlete.
Yeah, man, 100%. I love hearing that too. Like what I always tell guys is I'm like, you don't have to be in like I could make weight tomorrow. But it's like you got to be in like I could make weight within a couple weeks if I have to. 100%. You know what I mean? Like
make weight and actually perform. Because making weight's one thing. Like anyone can go and make weight, but can you perform the next day?
Bring me back to like early in the career because I want to get back to the Bilal stuff for sure. But bring me back early. Like what are some habits you built, in the beginning of your career before the money was coming in and everything like that? Like something that like anybody listening to this can take away from this and start doing. Like what are the habits that you built back then that still serve you now, that you're still doing as the number one contender?
For me, especially as when you're a fighter and if you're making money fighting, not having crazy spending, like not like spending on like only, in my mind, even today, like everything I buy, it's a tax write-off. That's the way I think.
That's the best part.
It's training gear, food, everything. I try to just prioritize all of that stuff. You know, obviously not going out partying, doing stuff like that, and it just comes back to me the training. Just always. I'm not saying you have to be sparring every day, but staying in the gym, staying ready, just in case something does come up. And that's for me. I've always just tried to be consistent with my training and just learning. Like if you're not a sponge and you're not trying to get better all the time, the sport's going to pass you very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love what you said about the priorities too, because it's like,
what are your priorities? Like for me, like even I don't have a fight, but you should be in the gym. I know guys, they'll fight and they're like, oh, I don't have a fight. I'm just not going to go back to the gym. You have teammates. The guys who helped you get ready for fights, they have fights. You should be there helping those guys, studying their opponents, being a good teammate.
Well, and it's like, that's, help them, but then that's also going to help you, right? Like, I'm sure you're helping guys train for fights and you're picking up things that now you're using 100%,
yeah.
Too,
maybe
right?
their opponent's southpaw. You don't work southpaw that much, but now you get the opportunity to start working on that. They play a good guard game or something. You can always be learning more, and that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, man, 100%. And on the flip side of that, early on in the career, were there any like important habits or traits that you've developed later that maybe were like a struggle for you early on? Like whether that, it doesn't sound like discipline in the gym was outside of training.
When I was younger, I would go out after fights and I would eat I would binge eat and get fat. Not fat, but I would drink.
Fighter fat.
Fighter fat. For sure. I'd be over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'd be lifting and I would get all big and I would go back to the gym and I'd feel like shit. So I kind of was that guy when I was younger. But we would all do that. We'd all be like, oh, we deserve to go. You don't deserve anything. So we'd go eat like crap after the fight.
This is so important to touch on again. And because that's something I get it. You've gone through the whole camp. You want to go up. But I'm so glad you're talking about that.
No, I would balloon up. So I'm shredded for this fight. I feel amazing. And then 2 days later, I'm like, how did I gain 30 pounds or whatever? And you feel hard. And that's the biggest thing for me is, I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to physically feel like shit. I want to be able to train. I want to be able to perform. That's where I kind of once I kind of got to the UFC, all that kind of went out the window. I stopped, right after the fights, I'd maybe have one or, now, my wife has to beg me for a cheat day because it's not that I, have an eating disorder or, I like the way I eat and I feel good when I do it. I eat chicken, rice, potato. I eat these amazing foods and they make me feel good.
Yeah.
If I go eat or drink, it's not that it's bad in the moment, but I'll feel like shit the next day. And luckily I have the discipline where I can cut it off there, but maybe other people don't. They'll go eat that one day and then it turns into an entire week, And that's how a lot of guys are. And then you start eating like shit, you're not in the gym. And then you miss a gym day, then you miss a week. So it could just be a snowball effect.
Yeah, and every time you're setting yourself back that far, right? Coming back to what we were saying, you can't do this forever.
No,
and if every time you fight, you're taking 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month after, it's
that adds up.
You fight 3 times a year, that's 3 months that you're taking off of training, right?
It adds up quick.
Yeah, and for that, was that just making it to the UFC that flipped the switch, or what was it in your mind that you were like what fight was it where you were like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore? I think
it was just me wanting to just level up again. After every one of my fights, I'm like, all right, how can I get better? And that was a big one. It's I can do this to get better. I don't need to go on an eating binge. I don't need to go the last time I had a sip of alcohol was 2 years ago. And it's not because I'm sober. I can go, if I wanted to go drink a beer right now, I could, but I don't want to and I don't need to. I have a goal in my mind. I can only be a UFC champion for so long. I'm only going to be this age for so long where I can make that happen. And I know I can go drink and eat and do all that shit if I want to when I'm done, which I probably won't. But it's there. Everything's there. It's delayed gratification. I love riding dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Can I go out and ride my dirt bike? Yeah, but if I fall and I break my leg, now I can't fight for a year. I can do all that when my career's over. Our window's only it's so short, and you have to make the most of it, and that's what I'm trying to do now. Yeah,
I love that too, because it's I think a lot of guys get into their heads too of well, what if I go all in and it doesn't work out? And it's so I'm gonna have to sacrifice all these things. So if you're talking to one of those guys back in that early point, what would the advice be about these habits and stuff like that? That mentality being well, what if I go all in, it doesn't work out, I've sacrificed all these things.
Then you are a healthier version of yourself, you learned how to fight, and now you have to go get a normal job. But it could be worse, if you're lucky enough, like me, to wake up every day and go do something you love, there's bad days that I have, but I truly, truly love what I do every single day. And if you get to do that for a little bit and it doesn't work out, you're better off than most people in the world. Most people, they sit in traffic, they drive to a job they hate,
every day.
They come home and they're miserable. So if you have this small window of doing something you love for a little bit, you're doing better than most people.
Yeah, and it's why wouldn't you take advantage of that and go all in on it, right?
You never, there's no risk without you're never going to get something great without risking something, you know? Everyone would be doing it if it was easy, and it's not easy.
Well, I like that's one thing. I love that you said that too, because it's just like, it's the mentality of like, you know, they want the result without understanding like what actually goes into it. And that's what I was excited about, really, about this interview, is being able to talk about that stuff of like, you know, dude, you are where most people want to be.
Well, and it's funny, someone said, like, I just bought a Raptor R, super nice truck. I love it. Someone said that, they're like, oh, something like must be nice. I don't know what they said, but I'm like, yo, I worked more than half my life for that truck. You know what I mean? Like, so like those things, like delaying that gratification. Like I could have maybe bought that truck a couple years ago, but maybe I wasn't so I delayed that, you know? And it's just things like that. Like people don't see all the work that goes in behind getting your hand raised, the hundreds of hours in the gym,
the missing nice truck, all of that stuff, right?
Missing the first 2 or 3 weeks of being my daughter was born. 2 days afterwards, I'm in a training camp. I'm in and out of my house 2 or 3 times a day, doing all these things. Then I fly to London. I miss an entire week with my newborn, but you have to sacrifice those things, you know. And it's hard, but it's like she'll understand when she gets older why I did that.
100%, right? And I mean, like I'm not a parent myself, so obviously like, take it with a grain of salt.
I'm very new to it.
But it's
I'm 3 months in.
But it's like I look at that and I'm like, I'd much like someone being home at 5 every day, but being a miserable sack of shit because they hate their life. Versus someone who might not be there as much, but is like showing you what passion looks like and showing you how to build something you care about. Like,
and you still like,
that's way better.
I'm going for 2. I go to the gym. I come home. So I have those like, most people are going for 12 hours a day, maybe more for an entire stretch. I practice in the morning. I come home. I get to play with my daughter. I eat. I go work out. And then I play with her more. I'm with my wife, and then I leave again. But I'm home in between those moments.
You're in and out.
And I have that freedom of kind of making my schedule. So, dude.
And like she gets to see a dad who lives what he loves every single day. Right?
And that's the biggest thing. Like
that's a huge
for
motivator.
anybody. If you make $20,000 a year and you love what you do, you're winning.
100%.
There's people who make. How many billionaires are there that commit suicide or hate or are miserable? Because money will make things easier, but if you're not a happy person, you're not happy with yourself, money's not going to do it for you.
Dude, 100%. I love that insight so much. I think so many people don't understand that. It's like you got a little bit more in the bank account. It's like, cool, if you wake up miserable every day, that doesn't make you
that
happy.
Number,
right?
you're just looking at a number. You can't do anything with that. Like I say it all the time. I would work a normal job and still do exactly what I do every single day if I wasn't in the UFC.
Man, I've said that about coaching literally since I started. Like people were like, oh, why don't you just do it on the side? I was like, why would I do it on the side when I could just do it all day, every day?
I could just make it my full-time thing. But if I had to do it on the side, I would.
I would, 100%.
I would.
Going back to like, you know, those early days when you're talking about like Paul Felder saying like, hey, if you really dedicated yourself to this, you can make something. Immediately hearing that from him, are you like going home looking in a mirror being like, me? Like did you believe it right away? You're like, Paul said it, boom, must be true? Or like what was that process of getting you to believe that this could be reality?
I honestly, up until the Bilal fight, I still didn't, and that's what that night Bilal was better than me, but I didn't have the confidence in myself that I have now. And it took me, like, you almost have like an imposter like syndrome, you know? Like you're like, man, like how, like I've been in these, I'm like, do I deserve to be here? Like, it's hard to look at yourself. Like even when people come up to me and they take pictures with me, I'm just a guy. Like I swear to God, like people, like I say it all the time. I'm like, and it's awesome that I have fans, but I'm just a guy who got good at fighting. I had to work my butt off to get good at it. But it's hard to look at yourself and think like people see you that way, you know? But it took a while from being that high school kid to where I'm at now. Like after that Bilal fight, I really took time and I listened to, everyone's always said how good I was, and I finally started to believe it. And once I started believing how good I know I am, that's when I became the person I am today.
And so because that's something I know a lot of people struggle with, and I know it was big for me in the beginning of my business. Like I remember the first couple of pro athletes I was working with. I was like,
why are they hitting?
It's like me? Like why the hell are you hiring me? Like aren't there better people out there? Like,
but you're that guy, you know. And now like you start to believe it, and you're like, oh shit, like it's cool. You know?
So it's like for you, like you mentioned the Bilal fight as a piece of it, but it was like if you're talking to like maybe a up and coming kid at your gym or something like that like wants to do this, and you can see that's a struggle for them of like believing they can get where you are. Like what's the advice to them to be like to just switch the mindset, right? Because showing up to the gym every day is one thing. If you don't see it here, that's a whole other story.
And for me, that's I keep going back to it, but my confidence comes from the preparation I do, you know. So the better you're doing in the gym, the more if you're getting smashed every day, you might not be that confident, you know, but the more you show up, the better you get, the better you're performing in the gym, the better you're going to feel about yourself when you go out there and fight. So it all for me just comes back to performance, but you have to believe in yourself. Because nobody else is no one's going to believe in you more than you have to.
That's a big
you know?
piece.
And but when you're young, it's hard to see it. But when you start having a little bit of success, but you also can't let it get too big, and you can't think you're the fucking shit. And then when you go out there and you get humbled, then you just completely crumble. It's a 50-50 chance. You go in there, you might win, you might lose. But I've said that in my last 3 fights. I'm like, I prepared the best I could prepare. If I go out here and if this person's better than me that night, it's not going to be because I didn't believe in myself. And I'm happy with that. But then that just made me even more confident. So
I like that a lot. And like, because that is like, that's actually brings me to another good question, but it's like, what do you feel like the difference is between confident and cocky? Because I feel like a lot of kids come in, right, and they're like, well, I have to have that like Conor McGregor swagger, that's the way you're gonna make it.
Confidence is you have the skills, you're confident in your abilities. Cocky is like, you don't have the skills, you don't have the ability, and then you think you're gonna go do this, you know?
And you're talking shit.
And you're talking shit, but that's, and the day of not talking and not being on social media is over. And I know that now, and because I'm like kind of like an introvert, like quiet guy. I had to come out of my shell a little bit more, AKA why I'm here and doing all these things. But because people want it, I'm like, back to the imposter syndrome. I'm like, people don't want to hear from me, but they do, you know? And it's hard for me to hear like that I could help kids out and do that. So if I know I can do that, I want to do it, and I want to give more advice if I can, you know?
Well, and on that note too, actually, social media is something, obviously, like, you know, you follow me, like, you know, I'm big on that. I'm big on that for athletes.
For sure.
And like looking at yours, you know, I went back, like scrolled back into it to see, like, were you doing this before the UFC? And you were reasonably active still, like, years before. So it's like, what would your advice be to athletes out there? Because I see guys kind of go two ways. Either they're way too focused on like, I need to build my name, and then they're not focused on building the skill. Or they post after they win a fight. They post when they get their next fight booked. They post after they win a fight. They post after they like, and there's nothing in between. So it's like before that platform, before like you know the UFC backing you and everything. What's your advice to guys of like spending some time on that and working that?
I think, and for me too, this advice goes for me, showing people your personality and who you are outside of fighting too. I'm not saying you have to show your family and stuff like that, but like show your other interest. And like I've started doing like fight reaction ones. Like I did one and it blew up and it was cool.
Like the Ian Gary one.
It was actually fun to do, you know? So showing a different side of yourself, not just like, oh, I'm fucking lifting weights and like that shit gets old, you know? You have to show other people different sides of you, but you don't want to, for me, it's just finding that sweet spot. You can't post nothing, but you can't post way too much. You got to find that even balance in the middle.
I mean, back to priorities, right? It's like the priority still needs to be, if I want to be in the UFC, I got to be really
Your priority has to be the training, but you also have to understand that it is a business at the end of the day, and you have to market yourself. If you want to get sponsors and do these things and get opportunities from the UFC, you have to market yourself. This isn't
just me saying it, you're hearing it from him too.
You have to do the social media stuff.
100%. And I mean, that's actually another good area to touch on is like, a lot of guys do have a belief too. They're like, oh, before I get a sponsor, I got to be 12-0 and like have 100,000 followers and be in the UFC and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, if you're talking to that guy, doesn't have the name yet, doesn't have the backing, it's like, what's your advice in terms of like, you know, getting out there to try to find sponsors? How would you approach it? Anything like that?
For me, I used to sell, we'd get t-shirts, it would say like Team Brady on the front, and I would have it littered on the back, all local businesses. They'd give me $100, $200, if I got a $500 one, I was like, let's go. Yeah, and then you start getting a few of those.
Yeah.
And I have all the T-shirts made into a blanket at my house. And each fight, like I went 1-0, 2-0, and each fight on the back, I got more and more sponsors. Like the bigger your name gets, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Have a guy who cuts the lawn give you $50. Have your local mechanic give you $100. You know, and you put they don't get anything out of it, but you slap it makes them feel good, makes you feel good. You got a little bit of money in your pocket, and that's what got me through that. And my parents got me through my career up until I got to the UFC. So you don't need 1 million followers. You don't. If you're a good person and you're a good human and you're good at what you do, people are going to want to support you. And I have 150,000 followers. There's people with way more followers out there, and I'm way better than them, but I could be doing stuff better, and I'm still trying to find that balance. You know? But if you're a good person, good companies and good people will get behind you.
Yeah,
and you'll grow together.
Yeah, well, I mean that's huge too, right? Because it's like they sponsor you at that 1-0, 2-0, and then it's like I bet those guys are looking at you now. They're like, dude, I was there for the first one.
I have guys like that. I have sponsors that have been with me since the beginning, and maybe I could have went a different way and made a little bit more money and kind of sold myself. But no, like they were there for me when I had nothing, and now they're still on that journey and they're still supporting me. So. You'll find those in life for sure.
And like for those guys that are, you know, in that position, like getting those sponsors, that just door knocking, just like, hey, I'm Sean, I have a fight coming up. You willing to give me some cash? Like how are you going about that?
Advertising on I would do like tiers. So I'd be like $100 get your logo on my shorts. When like obviously you can do that outside of the UFC. Put a logo on your shorts. You get a logo on my shirt and then your banner. And then for $250, you get a bigger logo. You get a better spot. And that's kind of how I would do it. It'd be like tiers. So like $250, $500. The gold package is like $1,000, you know? And and then posting that on social media. Friends would share it. And that's literally how it went for me. And luckily I had a good name in my neighborhood. And like my dad's friends' businesses would sponsor me and stuff like that.
Yeah, so just like talking to family and friends, and it's like talk to them.
It's word of mouth. It's word of mouth. You know.
Yeah, man, that makes total sense. And it's like I feel like more people need to start.
Well, now MMA's getting, and this was when I started. My pro debut was in 2014, so this was 10 years ago. MMA still was nowhere near. Now MMA's huge. Everybody knows what it is.
And like so many more people would want to get behind that now, right?
100%. So
it's legal in most places.
It's probably way easier to do now. Get more sponsors.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for a lot of people too, it's just getting out of their own way. Like in their minds, they're like, oh, you know, but like, what if they say no? It's like then you're in the same spot as you are right now anyway. Like,
no, I mean, I've taken so many videos, and I'm like, I shouldn't post this. I sound like an idiot. And then I'm like, dude. Post no one.
Dude, I talk about that so much. Like you scroll back on my social media, it's like I look at like 5 years ago. I'm like, oh my god,
dude,
man.
I won't listen to that single minute of this interview because I hate hearing I'll see it pop up on like your timeline. I'm going to scroll because I just don't like hearing myself talk.
Just like click get out.
I just don't like hearing myself talk. But it's like that's the same thing. I got to get out of my own way and just know like. Dude, people want to hear from you, you know. So get out your own way, and it'll work out.
Now, coming into the UFC, like like UFC debut, talk about like what that experience was like. Like for yourself, if you could go back and tell like pre-UFC Sean, like give that guy some advice of like what you're going to be getting into, stepping into the UFC. What would you go back and tell him?
Yeah, it would just be if I wish I could be as confident as I am now back then, but I fought Court McGee, my UFC debut. It was in Boston. I've been lucky enough to where I've kind of had this mentality of enjoying the moments almost all the way through my career. I never took anything for granted, so it's hard for me to try to give myself advice on that. But for anyone else, it's just enjoy the little moments, you know, like signing the posters. You're cutting weight, you're miserable, but enjoy those moments with your team and when you're doing the media and stuff like that, because one day it's going to be over, and I don't want to look back on my career and be like, man, I wish I enjoyed it more. So of course you're enjoying the fights and the training and the winning afterwards, but enjoy the sucky parts too. The quote unquote sucky parts, because we live amazing lives getting to like even like doing this, like this is awesome. Like this is my life, you know. So just trying to enjoy all of those things.
Yeah, dude, I love that because it's like even when I see guys that like they're like, oh, I gotta go do media. I'm like, one day no one's gonna want to hear from you, right?
Like guys bitch about so much stuff. I'm like, you get to do this. Even in training, I'm like, you get to do this. Go work at Burger King, or go deliver for Amazon. You don't have to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to train. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. It's like, stop. Go get a shitty job. Like,
you get to do this, and you might fuck around and go in your fight and get fucked up because you're not here doing the things you should do and get seriously hurt. Like, it's not a game. It's fist fighting at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just enjoy everything.
I think that like have to versus get to mindset, 100%. Right? Like that's a really big 100%. One. I find myself anytime too. It's like I'll be like,
anytime I start bitching.
Yeah, it's like I'll be like frustrated about something. Even like here, there's been a couple of moments where I'm like frustrated about something, and then I'm like, I'm in Montreal to go to a UFC event, sit down with Sean Brady. Like, what the hell am I complaining about? Like, shut up, dude. Like,
no, dude, 100%. I'm the same way. Like, anytime I'm getting miserable in camps, my phone's on Do Not Disturb, but it's my wife's number.
Yeah, she can get through.
Yeah. She can get through. My bad.
All good.
But yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, if I ever find I do the same thing with my daughter now.
Yeah.
If I ever, like, 2 a.m, she's crying, I'm like, what the hell? But I'm like, she's only going to be this big for so long. Enjoy it, you know. It's
I love that,
and that's way bigger than fighting. Like, and all that, like, enjoy these moments because you only have it right then, and then before you know it, she's going to be old. And same thing with fighting. Like, your career is going to be over before you know it. I can't believe I've been fighting for 10 years, and more than 10 years as a pro. And I'm like, man, like, it's not coming. Like, I feel like I can get better and better and fight forever, but eventually it's going to be over.
Yeah.
So I want to look back and say I enjoyed signing these posters and being at H2O, doing this with V-Chain. Like, I want to look back and just say I enjoyed all these moments.
Yeah, and I mean that's so crucial, man. Like, and it's like because you don't get as much out of it if you're not.
Yeah, if you're miserable,
Yeah, like I remember the start of the business too. It's like I remember looking back like probably a year ago, and it's like obviously, you know, things have taken off a little bit more, which is awesome. But it's like I remember looking back at like the last 6 years and being like, dude, that would have broken most people. Like so much of the stuff we had to deal with and 100%. The fires and everything. 100%. And I'm like, that was nothing to me. Like as we were going through it, it's hard, but it's like I was like, man, what it's turned into. I was like, I would do that 10 times over. Like
100%. Yeah, because it's easy to say that because you know you made it through that, but other people probably in that moment they're like, fuck, this is the hardest thing in my life. I'm never going to get through it.
Yeah.
But if you just keep on pushing, you keep your head down, and that's like same thing. I had my daughter, that Leon fight, like that whole camp, like it was a lot and it was stressful. And people like, on the outside, like I seemed like I was waking up. My wife was doing all this stuff at nighttime, but I'm still waking up. I'm still not getting all the sleep I need, and I have to go out there and perform the best I can. And someone else is I have to fly. The only time I lost a fight was I left the country. I flew somewhere else. I lost a ball. I'm getting ready to fly to London, fight someone in their backyard, and all those things start to play in your mind. But I just kept my head down, kept doing what I was doing, and it all paid off.
Yeah.
You know, but it's easy now on the other side of that to
look back and be like, I'd do that again.
But when you're in the trenches, you just have to keep doing what you're doing, keep your head down, and just keep pressing.
Yeah, man, 100%. And I actually want to talk about the Bilal stuff too. So obviously, like, so I get a lot of people, like, they come into my DMs and like when we're talking about like, you know, goals for the future and stuff, they're like, I want to be an undefeated UFC champion. And it's like, I know you obviously had a pretty long undefeated run.
Yeah.
What I always love hearing, like when you do interviews and you're like I quit on myself that night and I will never let that happen again, right? And it's like, you look at that loss now obviously as a great thing that happened to you. So it's like, first, if you heard somebody say, yeah, I want to be an undefeated champion, like, what's your advice?
Yeah, I mean, for me, being undefeated was becoming my identity. Like I felt like I couldn't do anything wrong. I'm like,
invincible.
Yes. But you're not fighting to win. You're fighting not to lose that undefeated record. You're like, oh, it's so perfect. And then
looks so good.
It does. It looks great.
Yeah.
But you find out who you truly are when you face some real adversity. And that night I lost, I'm telling you, the second I lost, it felt like a weight was off my shoulders. And then I've had my best performances 100%. Since that fight. I became a better human, a better everything, a better fighter after that loss because it truly I felt just immediate release. And I'm like, I can just go train and fight. And if I do lose, the world's not going to end.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck. That's in that moment, it feels like the world's going to end. There's fights next weekend. Everybody's going to forget. Like, your family's going to, I was like, no one's going to love me anymore. Like, I thought, like, your whole identity.
Well, wife's gone.
Your
that
whole
sucks.
identity gets attached to being undefeated, and it was over, and I'm like, man. Trust me, it took me a long time mentally. Like, I've hired mental coaches, and I think that's one of the best things I ever did was to help me get through that loss, because I thought I got done that fight. I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. I tried to jump right back into a training camp, and this was the biggest adversity ever. I lost to Bilal. I got scheduled to fight Michelle Pereira. I tore my adductor. I was out for like 4 weeks. It was a partial tear.
Yeah.
They rebooked us. I tear my groin again. Now I'm out until I'm out for like another 4 months. So I just lost my first fight. I tear my groin. I tear my groin again. I have like the worst pain I've ever had in my life. I start rehabbing that. And then on the other side of that, I'm trying to get a fight now. At this time, it's like summertime. They don't book me. I finally get booked against Kelvin Gastelum. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, this Kelvin's coming down from 85. He's a fucking killer. He's knocking everybody out. And that's when I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'm like, let's fucking go. And then that started everything of where I'm at now. I'm like, let's fucking go. Smoked Kelvin. And then it kind of has been a roll since then. But yeah, like being undefeated sounds great, but you're going to lose. There's only a few people who come out unscathed, and it's Khabib. And if Khabib would have stayed in it long enough, he would have lost.
Yeah, someone would have made it through.
Shavkat's undefeated. That record looks great, but he almost lost to Ian Gary. He's going to lose eventually. Like, you're going to lose, and there's nothing wrong with losing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard, when you're fighting the best guys in the world, you're going to lose eventually. And that was it for me.
Yeah. Well, and like, because I love that, because it's like, that's what I always try to tell guys when they're like, oh, I want to be undefeated. I'm like,
why?
On the one side, I'm like, I don't want to tell you like, no, go take a loss. Because like, obviously, if you can make it through, sure.
You want to go 0-6. You're like,
I don't want to be undefeated, so just
You don't want to lose too many.
Yeah. But it's like, at the same time, I'm like, I want to try to reinforce, like, don't be afraid of it.
Yes.
Like, if it happens, learn.
And that's the best thing that set me free. I was so free to lose. I went out there and I didn't fight the way I should have fought. Now, when I fought Gilbert, when I fought Kelvin, when I fought Leon, I went out there, I'm like, I'm not afraid of whatever happens. If I fucking get knocked out on my face, I'm going to wake up. And you know what? I'm not going to remember it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anyway, you know? Like, I came to peace with that. Like, I'm going to go out there, do everything I set out to do, and if it doesn't work out, then it wasn't my night.
Doesn't work out.
But I'm at peace with that. I'm going to go home. My wife's going to love me. Everyone's still going to care about me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So like for that guy saying that, like what would just quick piece of advice for them? Like, you want to be undefeated. Here's why not to worry about it as much.
Because. And that's a little bit going to be longer, but you go out there and you fight the way you're trying to stay, like maybe you're not trying to get knocked out, you're not taking chances. The UFC doesn't want that anyway. So you might go undefeated or have I see these guys with these crazy records, they don't want you anyway. Go out there, take some chances. If there's so many fighters who go 1-1, they have these wins and losses. Look at Dustin Poirier. How many losses does he have? UFC loves him.
Yeah.
Look at Michael Chandler. He's exciting. He goes out there, he wins, he loses, but he's excited.
Yeah, he's like 2-5 in the UFC, and everyone's still pumped to watch him fight every time.
Nobody wants to see a boring fighter, so you have to take chances.
Yeah, you got to take chances. I love that.
Yeah.
And talking about like the mental side coming through that, because like obviously, you know, when you were in that spot, like the undefeated record meant so much. Like, bring me back to that. It was like, obviously you said like, you know, a little bit about like right as it happened, sort of what you were going through. But like, what were the biggest pieces of adversity, like the biggest struggles kind of getting through it? And what were the action steps that you took that like actually finally got you to that point of confidence that you're at now? Because it's very like, it's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just like, I was just sad. Like, it sounds depressing. Like, I was just sad. Like, I remember just like driving, and I was just like, I'm like, dude, I'm just sad. Like, and I just I knew why I was sad, but I'm like, I would talk to my wife about it, and she could tell like, I just wasn't being honest about the way I felt. And then my strength and conditioning coach, Gabe Rangel, works with Eagles players, a bunch of different guys, and he had this guy, Brian Kane. He was a mental coach. He worked for GSP. He worked for GSP after GSP lost to Matt Serra.
Yeah.
So he worked for GSP after that. And I started working with him, and then I just started to open up about how I was feeling, and he helped me get over it. And then I started working with another guy. His name's Brandon Epstein, and he became more of like a therapist to me. And just realizing it's okay to talk about your, like, I was almost like, I'm like, dude, you're a pussy. Like, why are you like, and I didn't want to talk to people about it. And I didn't feel like comfortable talking about it. And until I met him and I started to open up and talk to my coaches and just being open and honest about the way I was feeling. And it's corny to say like I was so upset because I lost a fight, but in that moment, it was the biggest thing to me. Like my whole identity was wrapped around fighting, and I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm just getting shit on online. That's another thing. I'm reading comments and just stupid shit like that. And then I get hurt. So I'm like, I can't even train. I can't do the things that make me happy. So it was just getting stacked on top of one on top of the other. But luckily, I got through that, because there was moments I'm just like, I could quit right now, 15-1, and that be that. You know, good record.
Nobody can really say anything about that.
Yeah, I did all right. But now I'm #1 contender in the world. But there was a lot of shit I had to get through to get that. So just if you're going through something, talk to somebody. Whether it's a higher professional, your mom, your dad, you have to get those. Once you get it out, you feel so much better about yourself. And
that's just like, I think so many men need to hear that, because it's like you said, as soon as you said, like, you're just like, oh man, you're a pussy. It's like the amount of times that people hear that, right?
That's the stigma. It's like, oh, we're not allowed to have these emotions, but we're human, you know. And you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but if it's getting to the point where it's really affecting you, you have to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I love hearing that, like, because, I mean, again, it is such a stigma, but it's like, look at this dude, like, if he can talk about his feelings, you can too.
For sure.
And, like, was there anything, like, with the two coaches or anything like that, was there any, like any point that it just kind of flipped the switch, or was it just more like actually being able to be open about it, like eventually you just kind of work through it, or was there, like, something one of them said, something that you came to, like, a realization where you were like, okay, like, now I'm good, now let's do this thing again.
I think it was just gradual, just over time. Just over time, just kind of working through it, you know. But and then just being like accepting it, like, and that was the biggest thing with my guy Brandon. She's like, accept that it happened. It's done. There's nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah, you can sit and be like, oh, but what if I'd done this? What if I'd done that? It still happened the way it happened.
And at the end of the day, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So it happened for a reason. You can't do anything about it. You're better off just accepting it and just moving on from it. Yeah. And that's the best thing that I did.
Yeah, and I mean, I know a lot of, like, younger guys coming up, they look at losses as, like, a little bit of a scary thing, right? It's like, I know guys will say, like, oh, if I lose, it's over. It's like, obviously it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's like, talk me through, like, when you were undefeated, the way you looked at a loss versus, like, how you look at it now.
Yeah, when I looked at it when I was younger, like I said, I thought, your whole career is, and that's not the way the MMA works, and it's not the way the UFC works. You see how many losses guys have. You're fighting the best guys
are fighting for titles with 12 losses.
You're going to have losses on your record. But if you're letting that control your performance, you're fucked already. So, like, you have to just let go of that and just know, like, listen, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do the best I can do, and you can't control. You can worry about it so much. You can't control it anyway. So all that worrying is not going to do anything besides make you stressed out. You know, like, if you're thinking too far ahead, anxiety. Like, I'm like, oh man, like, what if I lose? You're thinking in the past too much, you're getting depressed. You have to be, for me, it's just being present in the moment. And that's one of the biggest things, just being present, enjoying what you're doing, and just being locked in that moment. And if you do that, you're 99% chance you're going to be all right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like, what I got from that was just, like, performance over the outcome, right? It's like, you can do all the wrong stuff and something happens and you get a quick knockout. You can do all the right stuff, something happens and you make a mistake and it goes wrong, right? It's like, 100%. But if you focus on, like, the version of you that's stepping in there versus focusing on, I have to win, I have to not lose.
And that was it. Like, I have to win, I have to. But if you're just present and you're enjoying what you're doing, you're gonna come out a lot better.
Yeah, that's way better way to think about it. I love that.
Yeah.
And, like, going, like, now in the position you're in, obviously a rematch with Bilal doesn't seem too far away. Like, he wins this weekend, it's pretty hard to argue that that's not your next fight. So it's like, having that experience with him now, obviously I can see the confidence. Like, I know that, but it's like, then there is always that, like, well, he beat me once. What, like, how does that play in your mind now? Like, when that thought comes up, how do you shut that down to be like, I'm Sean fucking Brady. I'm gonna go in there and smash him anyway. Like,
and that Sean Brady to me is dead. Like that's no longer a part of me. So that's how like I was watching them better earlier, and I was looking at Bilal. I'm like, and there's nothing against him. I'm like, I can't fucking wait to fight this dude again. And I'm just confident. I'm not, but it's like that with him. It's like that with Jack. Any of these guys, I'm confident against any of them. And if it's not Bilal next, if it's Ian Gary, I'm confident against any of these guys, So, and that's the thing. It's like whether it's Bilal, whoever it is, but just knowing like that old me is dead, and this new version of myself is. Bilal beat me the one time that it mattered, but 9 out of 10 times I win that fight. And the next time we fight, I'm going to win, and I just know that.
Yeah, and I mean, like the reason I asked that, right, is because it's like. I think that's something a lot of people, like that's going to be a thing where it's like if you lose and then you're rematching the same guy, a lot of people are going to struggle with that. They're like, even if I do everything right, what if he beats me again, right?
Yeah, but I beat myself that night. Bilal technically beat me, but I beat myself, I quit on myself, and like you said earlier, I will never quit on myself again. If I keep moving and if I'm alive, you can't beat me, and that's how I'm going to be in there.
Yeah, and so actually, even on that, like, what, because guys will get reputations that's like, oh, fight gets hard, they quit. And it's like not at all saying that you have that reputation, because I don't believe you do at all, but it's like, obviously that night happened. It's like, what action step made you so confident that it's like, okay, I've reversed that guy's not here anymore, no matter what happens, I face adversity, whatever, that's not happening.
Well, in that moment, I faced a little adversity. Maybe first round was close, I thought I won, but in that moment, I'm like, man, I'm losing this fight. And then everything, like I got hit with a punch, I wasn't rocked, I never got dropped, but then I just kind of quit. Like I'm like, man, this thing's not going my way. I'm like, in the moment, I should have threw punch. Like looking back, it's easy for me to say, I should have threw more punches, I should have grabbed him, I should have did something. But in that moment, I just didn't have it. But now, like, I've been through the fire in the gym of just like getting hit and just knowing like that, how tough I am, and I can go through that and it's not going to break me, like facing adversity. And I faced a little adversity in the Bilal fight, and it broke me at that time. It broke that Sean Brady. Now that would never happen, because I'm putting myself in these bad positions in the gym. I'm going with guys like my Gilbert fight. We have a guy, his name's Itzo. He's a Georgian. He punches so fucking. We sparred so many rounds, and it's just like. But that's where my confidence comes from. It's like getting in there and getting hit with those shots, and just getting gritty, and just knowing like if it doesn't go your way, you can pull it back on track. I have a roadmap in my mind. I'm going this way. I might divert because I get hit or whatever it is, but I'm coming back to. I'm getting back on track. Whereas before, I never got back on track in that Bilal fight. Now, in whatever fight it is, if you get off path, I know like I have a clear goal of where I'm going, and I'm going to get back on track. Whether I get dropped, taken down, put in a submission, I know how to get back on track.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that. So like from the training perspective, like if you're talking to, that guy that hasn't really faced that before, or maybe has faced that, had a similar situation, it's just get yourself in and put yourself in those situations.
Seek out those hard, not saying you have to train to get hurt all the time, but
big difference, of course, but
seek out those hard rounds.
With the right guys.
Yes, of course. Seek out that adversity, because if you can get it in the gym, then you might not have to go through it in the fight, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that makes sense, because I mean, there's a big difference between like, training with just like, we're just going to throw down and kill each other versus hey, I need you to work.
And that's an important thing too. Like I found like training, like your training partners you guys have to be pushing each other, but you don't want guys trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
Because the sport's so easy.
You get paid in the cage, not in the gym,
and it's so easy to get hurt already, like in this sport. One little wrong move and your knee could blow out. So you have to have those guys who care about you, and that's just for younger guys. If you're listening, find a good team, find guys who care about you, and that's going to take you a long way in this game.
Yeah. What would you say is like an underrated trait for a fighter to have? Like something that they can start working on straight away, but like something that you're like, man, all the UFC guys I'm around, all the top level people, like, is there anything that you find like they have in common that athletes can like start putting time or start putting effort into straight away? Man. Other than obviously being in the gym a lot.
Yeah, that's a hard one, because I don't think. There's a lot of fighters in the UFC who they're good fighters, but I don't think they not that they don't deserve it, but like there's a lot of people
not
who
the same way.
There's a lot of people who do a lot of the wrong stuff. You know.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would just be live the life you're like. Live the way you want to be. Like live
like, for the job you want.
Yes,
job
exactly.
have,
like live like a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's like if you're trying to get here, live this
that's
way.
not just training. That's going to bed on time, doing your social media, doing all these things you have to do, not putting off stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Treating it as a job.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the biggest thing, because guys don't like, they show up late, they do the wrong, like, if this was a real job, you'd be fired. So show up on time and treat it as it is a job. At the end of the day, it's a job, and you have to treat it seriously.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I mean, I think that's the perfect way to put it, is like show up for the job you want to, right? It's like if you want to be a world champion, it's like, you can make the UFC doing the wrong shit, but you're gonna have a better chance if you do all the right shit or all the wrong shit.
One thing I would say is like, whatever you're, like I see good guys do is, if they have a weakness, work on your make your weakness a weapon. And that's kind of what I did when I was younger. I was always just in the lifting, and then I'm like, man, like I get tired. So like, you know what? I made conditioning like one of my weapons. Like I'm 5'9". I don't have crazy genetics, you know, but you can make yourself tougher. You can make your endurance. Those are things you can control. So things I can control, I'm gonna fucking maximize them. And that's why I do so much. All the conditioning I do, all the rounds, because I know that I can control that. I can't control how tall I am. I can't control that, but I can control this other factor where I'm putting this pressure on you, and eventually you're going to break, and I'm not going to get tired, and I know you're going to get tired, and I just keep my foot on the gas, and that becomes a weapon.
Yeah, and I mean, if you proved anything against Leon, being 5'9" isn't that big of a deal
at
170, right?
Talked a lot about my height. I'm like, all right, motherfucker. I'm like, wait till you're laying on your back. Everyone's the same height when they're laying on the ground. I was like, damn, this guy just keeps talking about my height. I can't control how tall I am. You know?
Worked out pretty well, though, I'd say.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Yeah, that one cracked me up. Like, that line, though, everybody's the same height when they're lying on their back. Like, I heard that, I was like, that is gold.
I've been fighting tall guys my whole career. I'm always looking up.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Everyone on social media thinks I'm 5'2", so I always like the short jokes.
No, you're 5'9", 5'10". You're not 5. He's not 5'2".
There we go. You heard it here first.
He's not 5'2".
Yeah, that cracked me up. But yeah, man, and I mean, like, I love that mentality to go of. It's just live the lifestyle, because it's like so many guys that are like showing up to the gym and then they're doing all the wrong shit outside of the gym. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, but I show up to the gym every single day. But it's like, it's full time. Like, it's 24 hours a day. It's being the person, not just being the athlete. Right?
Dean Thomas, this is one of my coaches, comes to Philly all the time. He's like, showing up isn't enough. You have to show up and be intentional. Anyone can show up to the gym. You could show up and do some bullshit. Show up and be present in what you're doing, and you're already there. Make it count, you know. And that's a big thing too, because at the end of the day, just showing up isn't enough. You have to be intentional with what you're doing.
Yeah. And on that note too, talk to me about the balance between training and recovery. Obviously, I know, like, you train like a fucking savage, but like, talk to me about like what goes into the recovery on the other side.
And that's what I definitely struggled with that. Like, being younger, like, I always thought more was better, and it's not. Like, more is not always better.
It's another. We've talked to like 4 UFC guys this week. Every single one. More is not better. You gotta learn to balance.
I would wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. I would do a run or some kind of crazy workout, and then I'd go train, and my training would suffer. So like, Muay Thai, your skill sessions are your most important sessions. Schedule everything else around that. So now I sleep till 6, I wake up, I get ready, I go to practice, and then I'll do I'll do my run in the afternoon, I'll do my lifts, because those don't matter as much. It's a supplement to what you're trying to do. Your strength and conditioning shouldn't be taking away from your actual training, you know?
Literally my number one thing I tell every athlete that joins.
It shouldn't be taken away from it. And same thing with taking rest days. Like, I don't take rest days. You're a fucking idiot if you don't take rest days.
Can you look at the camera and say that?
You're a fucking idiot if you don't take rest days. So Thursdays will be one of my days where in the morning we don't have morning practice. Yeah. So like, I will do one of my lifts in the morning or one of my conditioning workouts, and then at night, if I want to do something, I'll go just drill jiu-jitsu. I won't roll. Crazy concept. I know a lot of guys think you have to go to jiu-jitsu, you have to roll it, then you don't. I have great jiu-jitsu coaches. We'll go in and I will just drill for an hour, hour and a half. I'm learning. I'm updating my software. You know, you don't have to fucking, and that's hard for me to say, because I'm like, I need more rounds. But the next day, I'm ready to get back to it. Sunday, I usually will take off. Like, and by Monday, I'm ready to get back to it. You have to give yourself a break, because if not, you're going to be burnt out. I've been there. I still struggle with it. And the guy who wants to go 7 days, my wife's like, take a fucking day off. You know? No, 100%. Because I still, and I'm saying this, why I still struggle with it. Because you're like, my opponent's training, my opponent's doing this, but work doesn't matter if it's shit work. It's just like you can show up and do shit work. You can go do a shitty run, a shitty this, and it's going to affect your other training. You can take off, feel better, and then go do those and feel good about your actual training.
Yeah.
I prioritize like our spar. Like, there's days like the night before, I'm like, I'm resting from this. I'm eating at this time. Like, I'm making sure that I'm going to be ready for that session, because that's what's most important. We fight. We don't run. We don't ride bikes. We don't lift weights. We're fighters. You have to be able to fight.
Yeah, and so many guys get so stuck in like, if I'm not dead, it wasn't a good workout.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Because we just have that mentality where if we have to, but it doesn't have to be like that.
What was the flip for you? Like, what was the time where you were like, oh, like when my body feels good, I can perform better. Like, what was that time for you?
When I tore my groin, I'm like, I was running.
Injuries are a blessing in disguise.
I was running so much. I'm like, and I still love running. I ran 6 miles this morning, but it was after my Bilal fight, and I was like almost trying to run out my feelings, and I was running and training, and I was just doing so much shit on top of shit, and eventually God or someone was like, that's it. And I tore my groin, and you're like, too much. And that was that moment I'm like, man, like, I'm doing too much, you know? And you're going to be sore in the morning no matter what. You're always going to have bumps and bruises, but then people try to hide it with ice baths and saunas. I have a sauna at my house. I have an ice bath. That shit's all great, but if you're not sleeping, eating right, and training, prioritizing like your volume in your training, you're just throwing shit on top of shit. Like,
like trying to sprint before you walk.
The ice bath, none of that's going to save you if you're not doing those 3 things. If you're not sleeping, eating, and recovering right, like none of that's going to. You're not going to recover with the Normatec boots. I have all of it. You know, I always the red light. Like, it's all great. Yeah. It's all great if you're doing the other things that are going to make that other stuff matter.
Yeah, but it's like majoring in the minors, right? It's like I talk about it with strength and conditioning all the time. It's like all like the, fancy circuits and all that stuff. It's like if you're weak, none of that matters. Like if you don't have a good strength base, do all the conditioning you want. It's not going to do anything.
Guys ask me all the time, they're like, what should my lifting program be? I'm like, go get strong. Just get strong. Whatever lift you're doing, go get strong, and then being strong is never going to be a weakness. You know, everyone wants a fancy program, and I'm like, go pick up heavy shit. Because I'm not going to write you a fucking program. I'm like, go pick up heavy shit. You're going to get stronger. It's going to make you a better fighter.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You know, it's simple. People want to make it harder than what it is. It's not. I trap bar deadlift. I do some sort of squat. I press. I pull. I hinge. And I pull sleds, and I carry shit. Like, it's not that hard. You know, people try to make it a lot harder than what it has to be.
Yeah, it's not complicated.
You can get crazy with it, being on Dusseault balls and balance. Like, people want to make it harder.
Don't do
that. Get strong. Do your conditioning. Conditioning. Like, if you have a program, like there's nothing wrong with having programs, but people want to get too crazy with it.
No, and I mean the conditioning, obviously, like, we've had a little bit of experience working together on that. It's like, the conditioning matters a little bit more. It's like, that's what I always see is it's guys just like, well, the more I do, the better I get again, right? And it's like, they forget it's a 15-minute fight or a 9-minute fight. It's about being able to do this for 9 minutes or 15 minutes or 25 minutes, it's not do this for 2.5 hours.
Well, and they don't understand either. Most guys, you see them they'll run, say, 8 miles. Their heart rate's going up and down, in and out. I'm like, you're not even doing what you should. Like, if you're doing zone 2, when I do zone 2, I watch my heart rate. It's in the blue the entire. If I'm doing my VO2 max rounds, my heart rate has to be above 154 beats per minute. These fucking guys don't know that. So I'm like, you're doing these stimuluses you're not even getting anything from it.
Yeah.
But you think you are, and you're not.
It's work.
Just because it's work. Work isn't just work. It's got to be smart work.
It's got to actually be smart.
And I've learned, and it's boring. We're watching it's hard sometimes. Like, most people they're in the middle. They're either not doing they're not doing the low and slow, and they're not doing the hard. Like, they think they're going hard, but I'm like, you're not doing the hard sprints that you need to be doing. You think you are, but you're not.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't understand that either, right? And it's like they don't understand what 100% feels like, and then it's like they get into a fight and it gasses them out.
100%.
Right,
and people think you're not going to get tired. You could be like, I forget what my VO, I have like 2 records at the PI of VO2 max shit. I still get tired, but it's the ability to recover and go back into it and still have power, still have your time, and still because you could be Lance Armstrong. You're going to get tired, but it's your ability to push through that and recover.
Yeah. Well, and the ability to still fight. Right?
Yes.
It's like there's a difference between like, I'm breathing a little harder versus like I couldn't keep my hands up right now if I tried.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And guys, at the end of a fight, like when I fought Gilbert. At the end of that fight, I fucking laid down. I was exhausted because I was tired, but my conditioning was so good I could sustain that pace. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not that I wasn't tired. I just had the ability to keep pushing.
You had the ability to keep going despite being tired.
Yes, 100%.
And that was actually something I wanted to talk to you about too, because obviously we had a little experience working together for that fight, and it's like. One thing I really admired, because like I talk to a lot of athletes on a daily basis, right? And I have guys that, they fight their first amateur fight and they're like, my cardio's sick, I don't need any help. And yet like you, who is already known for the cardio, has records at the PI, you get your first main event in the UFC, and you found me, and you were like, hey, like I feel like there's some things we can tweak here. Like I really admired that, because it's like you're already in the top 10 in the UFC, and you're like, how do I continue to improve upon that?
Well, it's just, I seen your stuff and it's learning. I've hired certain nutritionists, and I always just want to learn more. And what working with you did for me was reinforce things that I already have done, but it also gave me like little just adjustments here and there that I could get better at, you know? And like you should always be trying to get better. Like, I don't know everything, but there's experts who do. So if I can hire somebody and I can learn from them and add that into my program, why wouldn't I do that, you know? And that's where I think guys, they mess up at. Like there's guys, like you might know what you're doing, but there's someone out there who knows a little bit better than you. So you go.
You're always looking for the next piece,
100%,
right?
100%.
Yeah, like
and that's always after a fight, just trying to become better. How can I become better?
Yeah, because like I remember that's even like last year I spent 11 weeks in Vegas, just literally sitting at the PI watching what they do, right? And it's like I'm like I know a good amount of stuff, but I'm like these guys have a $14 million facility. It's like there's stuff they're doing that I'm not doing. Like
and the thing is, like what I like with you, and when I look at a good strength and conditioning coach, like you and my coach and other guys I've worked with, they're not going to try to murder you, because I've worked with coaches where they see a tough fighter and I would leave these gyms broken. They don't understand, like, I have to go spar now, and now I'm dead. And
to put it nicely, fuck those coaches.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Exactly.
You know, and like I've looked at some of your stuff, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to do it. I want to do more. But you understand that I have sparring after this, or I have another practice, or I have to go home and take care of my kid. So when you're working with guys, like you understand what is actually needed, not the other shit that doesn't matter. And people will look at that and they're like, I'm going to go run 10 miles, or I'm going to sit on the bike for an hour and a half. I'm like, that's good, but that's not that's not what you need for fighting. Your fight's either 15 minutes or less, or 25 minutes or less.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like the other part, especially working with guys at your level, right, is it's like on my side, I'm like, he's already in shape. Like my goal is not try to break Sean Brady. That's not going to happen.
And if you're not in shape, then you're fucking up. You know? If you need a coach to tell you to get in shape, then you're losing the battle already.
Yeah, absolutely. So like to those guys, because there are a lot of young guys, and I was definitely guilty of this starting in strength and conditioning. Like when I was 22, I thought I knew everything, and now at 32, I'm like, damn, there's so much shit I still don't know. So if you're talking to a fighter that like one of those guys who's coming into my DMs trying to tell me about conditioning when they're just finished their second amateur fight, what would the advice be as far as like sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. Right? So it's like if you feel like you know everything, what's the advice to like start looking for that next step?
You don't know. I take like the martial arts aspect. Like I'm a fighter in this moment, but I'm a martial artist for life. Like I will die a martial artist, trying to always get better at everything I do, and I take that into everything: my sleep, my nutrition, everything. You can always be getting better, and there's always more you can learn. And if you keep that mindset, you're going to be a lot better off, because you don't know everything. Nobody knows. And that's the best thing about it. There's so many areas you can always be. Jiu-jitsu, always evolving. Nutrition, always evolving. There's always something you could be doing a little bit better, and why not learn about it and make yourself better? And then pass it along to somebody. There's so many guys who don't know about stuff. Like I know guys who don't know, fighters, high-level fighters, not going to say their name. They don't know what macros are. They don't know what a protein, a fat, or a carb is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like how'd you get it? I'm like, if you made it here without knowing like this shit, I'm like, imagine where you could be, you know? So always trying to learn.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
That mentality too, right? It's like no matter what level you get to, because I think a lot of guys, they'll get to the UFC not knowing what a macro is, and they're like, well, I've gotten this far not knowing, so like, why do I need to learn this shit?
Yeah, why do I
like,
gotta change?
Well, if you made the UFC, maybe you could be ranked. If you're ranked, maybe you could win a belt. Like, how much further along could you get if you just made those tweaks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, dude,
small little tweaks, man. Like, the white belt mentality. You're just always trying to learn.
Absolutely. So, dude, like we've covered a lot of awesome stuff, and I appreciate it all so much. But knowing our audience, knowing who we're talking to, you know, up and coming fighters that literally want to be exactly where you're at. Any final pieces? Anything that you feel like we could have touched on a little more? Or anything that you just want to say to those people?
I would just say find a good team. Whether it's a big team, small team, just find people who truly believe in you and keep them around you, and just have good people around you, and good things will happen. You know, I've been with the same. I could have left my team and went to wherever I wanted in the world and trained, but I stayed where I'm at a small gym, and now we have guys traveling from all over the world to come to our gym. So started off small. I stayed true to my roots, and it's gotten me here, and that's how I'm going to stay. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And on that too, when it comes to finding a good team, I find there are a lot of people out there, right? And like they start in that gym. In your case, obviously, it's worked out really well. For a lot of people, but they've kind of stay loyal without.
I started off at a small jiu-jitsu gym. My coach eventually realized that his skills were where he maximized where he could get me. We started training with another guy who's in the same city, and I was with him. I'm with that same team to this day, you know? So if it's just finding a good human being and a good coach, because they're going to know, like, I can get you here, but then from here, and then it's okay to pass them along. But you also don't want to find, there's a lot of toxic people in MMA where they have a fighter and they just want to hold on to them. Like, I got this UFC fighter. So just be a good judge of character, find good people for sure. And just same thing, like, trying to, if like you're very accessible, like the internet is crazy. Anyone can reach out to you now, and for a little bit of money, they can get a good program from you. Or, like, there's so much out there. So, and there's so many good people out there who want to help you. I could go on your page and not pay you $1 and learn everything I need to know about conditioning.
Dude, I get those.
So your business model is horrible, but no, but seriously,
it's working out pretty well.
You give out so much, but that's what attracts them to want more.
Exactly.
Like, I watched your videos, and I'm like, man, like, I could reach out to him and I could learn more. And that's what's going to attract people. They're like, he's giving me this. What else can I get from him? You know, and there's so many people, there's so many good people out there who are doing those things.
100%, man. It's like, it's crazy. I get those messages all the time. I literally got one a couple weeks ago. A guy in a country I've never heard of messaged me and said, hey, I've been using your conditioning stuff for the last 6 months, and I just won national kickboxing championships. It's like what?
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
So outside of obviously winning fights, right? That's obviously going to be a huge piece of it. But it's like, outside of that, like having the right team around you, you know, with coaches, everything like that. What are the important steps of like making it to the UFC outside of just being there fighting?
I mean, for me, it's there's a whole aspect of managers and stuff like that, and I feel like guys who are young, like they're like, I want a manager. I see guys are 1-0. I'm like, when you're that young in your career, you don't. I signed with someone when I was 5-0. I didn't need a manager. I didn't get to the UFC until I was 10-0. So there comes a point where you will need one, and there's a lot of good ones out there, but there's also a lot of shady ones. You know, I've had a few of them. I had one original one who was great, but he could only get me to a certain point. So then it was almost like that. My first jiu-jitsu coach. He realized I needed to go somewhere else. So I've had good ones, I've had bad ones, and now I'm biased, but I'm with Vayner Sports, and I think they are the best. Like, they're my manager Lloyd, open and honest. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. Like, if he thinks it's real and I can get it, he will tell. Like, but if I'm asking for something crazy, You have to have someone who's going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But there's great, like they do all my sponsors, so there's these amazing teams of people out there for you. You know.
So on that note, like obviously you don't need to name any names or air anybody out or anything like that. But if you're talking to a fighter that is like at that point in his career, because like I know I've known a few and everything, but it's like, what should they be looking for, or what's the red flag of like someone comes to manage you? Like what are the things that you're like, nope, not doing that one. Like
if you're getting a contract and your contract has a term, like if it's like a year or two, like that's bullshit. Like if you have a manager, like if they're not, they should be so confident in them being a good manager that they know you're not going to leave them. But if you do decide to leave, you should be able to leave, like no strings attached. So that's one thing. If it says we want 20 or above on your, anything over 10% of taken from your purse is insane. So watch out for that. There's so many things, but just talk to people. Word of mouth is the best, and that's how I found out about Vayner. Eddie Alvarez, the GOAT of Philly MMA, I'm very close with him. He told me about these guys years ago. I was an idiot and didn't listen to him and found out the hard way, and a lot of money paying stupid managers who didn't deserve it to get to where I'm at. But now I'm with an amazing team who I'm very happy with. But it was just word of mouth, because I know, same thing, Eddie, Joey Pfeiffer, a lot of people were signed with them and they didn't have a bad thing to say about them. So, and that's not just them. I'm sure there's a million other guys out there who are like that, but talk to people who you know and see what it is.
Yeah, and then again, obviously not having to say anything that you can't say or anything, but with the management team, because I know I've had conversations with athletes where they're nervous about making that kind of commitment, right? And it's like, obviously it's an important step. You look at the UFC, I don't think I can name you 5 fighters that don't have managers or that do it themselves or anything like that. So it's like, what are they doing for you? Or what's the, you know, if you're talking to that guy who goes, I don't know, I don't know about these managers, they're all shady, whatever, like, what's your piece of advice for them? Well, like, when you have a good one, what are they doing for you?
Well, it's just like we were just saying, there's someone out there who knows more than you. Like, someone, like your manager is going to know how to negotiate better for you. They're going to know how to do those sponsors. They're going to know how to do, if they're good, they know how to do all those things. They can find you opportunities. So that's what you should be looking for. Like, I could go in there and negotiate with a matchmaker, and I don't know what I'm at. Like, I'm like, give me 500 and 500. I'd be like, cool. He would have gave me 2,500 and 2,500. You know, especially on regional MMA. When you're dealing with super, like, the UFC is a legit business, but there's some shady ass MMA promoters out there. They're not going to pay for your flights where they could. Like, there's so many things, ticket sales. So that's what they're going to. When you're in the UFC, they're going to be working to get you better contracts, bigger sponsors, opportunities like this. Like, all these opportunities come from them. They find, and then I keep saying how good they are.
Dude,
I go back, I'll start, like, say if Zebra Mats was on that, but I'm like, I want to work with Zebra. They'll read, and then they'll start making, like, if they see me wearing New Balances, they'll be, hey, do you really like New Balances? I'm like, yeah. They'll reach out to, they might not get it, but you miss all the shots you don't take.
You don't have to worry about trying to do that stuff.
Exactly. So they're doing all that for me, you know, and so it makes it worth it for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. If you could go back to yourself at 20, what would you do differently? What would you do the same?
I wish if I could go back and tell my 20-year-olds, compete more. I wish I did more.
Like that.
I wish I did more jiu-jitsu tournaments. I wish I just. But back to that, I was scared to lose. So I'm like, man, I don't want to lose. So in your mind, you're like, the less I compete, the less I'm going to lose. So I would just want to get more experience. Go do kickboxing matches. Go do boxing matches. Go do jiu-jitsu. Go do everything to get that experience, because there's no experience like a fight. Like, if when you have a 5-round fight, you can't buy that. You can't train that. So go get that experience. And I would say keep doing the same thing, stay consistent, you know? And I did that since I was young, just staying consistent with whatever you're doing. Yeah,
100%. And then actually the one, I mean, I think I might actually know the answer, but the other one that one of the guys asked me was, what do you feel is the difference? Like, what do you feel is the difference in traits between the guys who make it to the top and the guys who don't? And like, I know we've talked a little bit about lifestyle, but like anybody that you've trained with that you're like, oh man, if they were just able to have this, I feel like they could.
It's the lifestyle. I know I probably sound
no, but I mean,
it's like the truth.
It's the same answers because it's right.
It's the lifestyle and confidence and believing in yourself. And if you do those things, then like I've seen so many guys coming in the gym and all the talent in the world, but their work ethic was shit. I'm like, man, if I had a quarter of your talent and my work ethic, I'd be a 4-time different weight class champion, you know? So, just the lifestyle, it has to be, I'm not saying you can't go eat pizza or like, you can have those things here and there. Enjoy your life, but live 80% of it as the athlete. Like, I look at George St. Pierre, I'm like, when I'm younger, he was my idol, and I'm like, I want to be GSP.
Pictures literally right up there.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be. I literally was texting him today. So like for me, like to be texting GSP is crazy in my mind. But live like the people you want to be. Yeah. And GSP wasn't out partying and acting like an asshole. So you can't go do that.
Yeah, and I mean, that 80-20 I think is perfect, because that was going to be the next thing that I asked is I'm like, you know, because I am a big believer too. It's like, don't get me wrong, I like the odd bit of junk food, and it's like, you know, you got to enjoy life.
100%.
But also, like, you want a 1% lifestyle. You can't be out enjoying it every single night.
Exactly, right? You're doing a lot more enjoying than you're doing training. Your balance is a little fucked up.
Yeah. So find that like 80-20 balance of like, you got to be the guy, but also like, have a little bit.
On those Sundays, like on your cheat days, like, I mean, on your rest days, have a cheat meal. Yeah. Maybe don't eat 10,000 calories. Have one bad meal. Don't eat. You know, and
it doesn't have to be the whole week.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the whole weekend. Have one day where you go out with your girl or whoever and have some fun. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be a whole weekend, you know? Shrink it down a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Any final piece off the top of your head? Well, in that case, the last thing was, obviously, we worked together for your camp with Gilbert Burns. Just, like, talk a little bit about that experience. Like, just, you know, how was it overall?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you make it very easy. You know, it's very easy to follow. It's very simple. And you don't, I already said it, you don't over program. You know, it's like, listen, this is what it is. It's 2 or 3 times a week. You can fit it in very easy. Like, luckily I know what I'm doing, but if you don't, you have, like, everything was right there on that app, and you make it very, very easy to do. Anyone can do it. You know, and if you're looking for a great conditioning coach, you don't have to find them in person. Like, they can come to you right online, and you'll do it for them.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Nah, man, seriously, it was great. I was like, I'm very easy. Like, I'm like, all right, you tell me what to do, I do it, and it was.
It was
good.
I appreciate that a lot, because that's always the goal, right? Again, it's a supplement, like you said. And and you know, and that's what makes you a good coach too. Is, you know, you're not like, oh, I'm the fucking strength and conditioning coach. I'm going to make you this. Like, it's a supplement to getting your fighting better. Yeah. And you know that, and that's what makes you a good coach. Dude, I appreciate that.
You know, you're not the guy, like, I see these conditioning coaches and they're like, oh, I do this, I do that. It's like, you're back here. There's a million other people who are, but you have a big role, but you're not the key driver.
Yeah, man, and it's so funny too, because I always have people that like don't understand the game be like, well, when are we gonna see you in the corner? And I'm like, never.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm in the corner, something's gone wrong with their team.
But you never know. Like, and you become super close with guys, and
you're one of those, like, you know, put me in if there's an extra spot and you got everybody you need. Like,
exactly. Nah, but you're
never the chief cornerback.
Your stuff's great though, man. If people are looking for a great strength and conditioning coach, Kenny's the man.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dude, this was a blast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.